The National Institutes of Health are part of the United States Department of Health and Human Services that seeks to advance the nation's medical research. It was established in 1887, where it began as a small lab off of Stapleton, Staten Island, New York. At the time, it was called the Hygienic Laboratory and was tasked with identifying the infectious diseases present in passengers on arriving ships. They weren't officially recognized in Congress until 1901. In 1902, Congress passed the Biologics Control Act as a response to a tragedy where 13 children died after being given antitoxin that was contaminated with tetanus spores. The act gave the lab authority to regulate the production of vaccines and antitoxins to prevent another such incident. The focus of the lab then shifted to non-infectious diseases and pollution of waterways. In 1914, the NIH researcher Joseph Goldberg correctly identified the cause of pellagra. Pellagra is a disease that results from severe vitamin B12 deficiency, and at the time there was an epidemic of sorts, and the cause was unknown. Joseph Goldberg identified that the diets was responsible for pellagra, particularly the diets of the poor population. The NIH was officially named from the Hygienic Laboratory to the National Institute of Health in 1930. It gave greater authorization to the NIH. 1947 was a monumental year for the NIH when they began issuing external grants. It allowed for many new advances in medicine and health. The organization now disperses around $40 billion in research annually, both domestically and abroad, and funds research, initiatives, and projects that seek to enhance life and reduce illness and disability. In 1948, the NIH was once again renamed from the National Institute of Health to the National Institutes of Health, after the National Heart Act was signed. Over the following decades, 27 centers and institutes were established under the NIH, each with a specific research agenda, including the National Cancer Institute, the National Heart Institute, and the National Eye Institute. In 1980, NIH and the Department of Energy launched the Human Genome Project. It was an attempt to decipher the chemical sequence of the complete human genome, and they were successful in 2003 when they managed to sequence the majority of it, not reaching 100% until 2022 when new technology became available. Information gained from the project is fundamental to understanding the genetics behind health and different diseases present in the human population. The first gene therapy was also conducted by NIH researchers. Led by Steven Rosenberg, patients with melanoma were treated with tumor-infiltrating lymphocytes that were genetically modified. The introduction of gene therapy was monumental not only in cancer research but in health, as it allowed for innovative treatments in the field of health. A team of researchers led by the NIAID grantee discovered chimpanzees were the origins of HIV-1, a virus that caused the AIDS epidemic in the early 1980s. The discovery was fundamental in shaping how scientists understood the virus and allowed for more effective prevention strategies and treatments. NIH grants are also credited with discovering the ability of heart cells to regenerate. NHLBI and NIA gave grants to researchers who discovered that the human heart muscles can regenerate after a heart attack. It was previously thought that the heart muscle cells were incapable of creating new cells after initial development. With this new knowledge, heart damage caused as a result of heart attacks can be reversed, and treatments can be produced to speed up the regeneration process of these cells after a heart attack. In 2003, researchers supported by the NIMH found a gene called 5-HTT that influences the rate of depression as a result of major life stressors. This study was a major contribution to understanding how genetic makeup influences an individual's response to their environment. In February 7, 2025, NIH released a statement announcing that indirect costs was to be held at a fixed rate of 15%. Indirect costs includes costs such as administrative details. These are also the costs needed to provide resources for equipment, labs, and buildings. The announcement of a fixed rate effectively cut the amount of funding the NIH would give. Thank you so much for joining me on this dive of the NIH.
Thank you for watching our History in the Headlines episode. If you enjoyed this series, be sure to like this video and comment on what history you want us to dive into next. If you're interested in how we make our timelines, you should check out Cleovis. Follow us on all of our socials linked in the description.